And welcome to Headlines. Frankie Darcell with you. Thank you so much for listening each and every Sunday at 7 a.m. And, of course, to everyone listening via the iHeartRadio app, we thank you so much. It is like having the radio in your hand. You can go to our website and download the app at iHeartRadio.com. It only takes minutes. So from the creative space, and we'll talk politics in the second half of the show. We'll talk about all of those stories in the news and headlines, but always good to talk to individuals to give you a perspective about what is happening in the greater community. I am so excited to have Gregory T. Walker. He is the founder of the Brothers Network, which is a global organization, and it's doing some great work in the creative arts space. And one of the things I think you guys know about me now is that I am I like to say a amateur historian. I love history. That's one of the things about coming to Philadelphia that has been so amazing for me. This city has a wealth of history that people drive by every day. And I'm not just talking about the Rocky Steps and the Liberty Bell. Even beyond that, the history here is wonderful. The art and culture here is unmatched. And to have met Gregory this week was wonderful, and wanted to bring him in for a conversation. So let me welcome you to the conversation. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction. I appreciate that. I agree with you 100% that the cultural offerings and artistic offerings here in the city of Philadelphia are bar none. World-class museums, world-class art everywhere.
And let me first thank, for the record, the introduction of our introduction from Derek Green, which I'm so excited about that he introduced us, for sure.
Derek is a longtime supporter of the Brothers Network. Both he, his wife, and his son have been to many of our events, and he also supports us financially as well.
Yeah. Now, talk about the Brothers Network and why and how you came about the concept. And now it's a global organization based here out of Philadelphia.
So I came to Philadelphia about 19 years ago, and I was struck by the diversity, but not the interplay of diversity around arts and culture. I would go to the opera, I would go to the ballet, I would go to jazz concerts, and I would see mostly white people. And I knew that jazz is a black art form, an American art form, and I was always surprised by that. I lived in New York previously, and I had seen Philadelphia in New York at the Joyce Theater for years. Every time they'd come to New York, I'd see them. I even saved my ticket stubs because I loved Philadelphia, and I still do. And when I came here to see them, the auditorium was slightly empty at the Kimmel Center. And I was baffled by that because they're world class and they perform all around the world, in Germany and around, and they're world class and well known. And when I came to Philadelphia to see them when I was living here, the audience was half full, and of that it was mostly white. And I took that away as some sort of indication that something was wrong in this notion of world-class art being performed in terms of black ballet and people not seeing it in large number. And so I set out to ask questions of Philadelphians, and they said, "Oh, I've seen Philadelphia. I saw them when I was in kindergarten. I saw them when I was in third grade." I said, "Well, you know, every year it's a different show, different performance, different choreographers, many of them black, many of them women." And they were surprised to hear that. And so what I realized from that, and then also this is, of course, on the Avenue of the Arts, where I didn't often see black people after 5 o'clock. And I thought, this is an odd thing, right? Black people would come into the city and Center City and work and then go home. And I wanted to make our city more robust and more inclusive. And what I love about Philadelphia is that it has so many art and artists, but there are also world-class artists that come here who are black and men and women, and people don't know. And sort of the way that Philadelphia is mistreated in not really getting its full recognition for the world-class artistic offering that it does every single year, not only here but around the world. Yeah. I ended up being on the board of Philadelphia, and I love Joan Myers-Brown. I want to shout her out because she, in some ways, inspired me to start the Brothers Network, which is an arts-presenting, theater-producing cultural organization. And we say cultural, we amplify black culture, including black men who play classical music, including black men who are playwrights, including black men who are directors, and also women. But we love the fact that so many of the local theaters, regional theaters, do produce and put out work by black producers. And not everyone knows that. And so we've made it our business to be involved, to do audience development. Sometimes we serve as a producer. Unfortunately, we're not the producer on this coming show. We have obviously a competent producer in place there on that. That's you, Frankie. But we want to make sure that the world, both white and black people and all those in between, know the richness of the cultural heritage of black people and the experiences, both positive and negative, but more positive, that's out there, because it changes the cultural hegemonic to just not being this white sort of patriarchal idea. But we want to have black people telling black stories about black people in the way that Frankie is doing, and the writer of this particular production that Frankie's going to get into in just a second, because we think that is so important, not only at this time in history, but in the past and in the future. I just will say this one last part about the Brothers Network. We are an extension of the Harlem Renaissance, which was a movement in the 1920s. So here we are 100 years later in 2025, still bringing forward art, culture, poetry, theater, drama, choreography as the way in which to identify and label people. I love hip hop and rap, and that's another genre. I love jazz. That's another genre. But we want to focus on the arts, and particularly in theater and the performing arts and dance and classical music, as the way to see the fullness of black people.
And there is a responsibility to be able to leave that legacy and embrace and bring young people into this fold to have access to arts and culture. So to the encouragement of grandmas and moms and dads and granddads to bring young people to the arts and culture.
I think that's true. And I also think that just bringing grandma alone, right? Because she may not have seen it in her childhood. She may not have recognized that Joan Myers Brown is right up the street. She may not have recognized that Coleman Domingo is from West Philadelphia.
Yeah.
May not have realized that Will Smith is, maybe, but not Coleman Domingo. Mm-hmm. And so I think that interplay and intergenerational is as important in bringing the young people. Because when the young people go home, they have to have a context by which to understand what they have seen. And I know that young people will come and see this particular production, but they have to have a context about how hard Derek Green has worked.
Yeah. Let me start here. You mentioned your board as well. Talk about your board. The fact that the board is global and that Coleman Domingo, who is one of my favorite actors, I adore him.
Well, got to see Coleman. I didn't know who he was. This was 13 years ago. I didn't know who he was, but I was invited to see a show called A Boy and His Soul at the Vineyard Theater in New York City. And it is the story, a one-man show starring Coleman Domingo, and he plays all of these characters from the West Philly neighborhood, his auntie, his uncle, his sister. It is brilliant. He sings a little bit, he dances a lot, and he is funny as heck. This is TV. That's not what I was going to radio. I was going to say. Funny. And I said, oh my gosh, this whole show is about Philadelphia. I'm seeing this in New York. And I thought to myself, Gregory, you've got to get this show to Philadelphia. And so I boldly approached him and said, hi, you don't know me. I'm Gregory Walker. I'd love to bring your show to Philadelphia. And he said, that's my hometown. I said, I know. We had a short conversation. He put me in touch with some of his agents and some other people, and we worked really hard to bring it to Philadelphia. A Boy and His Soul, over at the Red Vic Theater, which is now closed, unfortunately, just for one night. It was a one-night only show. And I wrote a little rap for him, and another brother named Carlo Campbell did the rap. I'm not a rapper at all, but they I said, you say Coleman, I say Domingo. You say Coleman, I say Domingo. Right. Coleman, Domingo.
Right.
And so he was like, oh my gosh. And so he was very emotional, and he came onto the stage and did the show for 90 minutes, and he said, that was incredible. I said, well, and there was a Q&A afterwards, like when I had met him, and in the question and answer, I just put him on the spot, and I said, Mr. Domingo, would you be a member of the Brothers Network's board? And he said, yes. And so it was very simple in that request. Obviously, we didn't know that he was going to grow and be this amazing person that he always was then. And so I like to talk about this early discovery of so many talented people who are from Philly, which brings my point forward. Here he is performing the show in New York. Yeah. And gosh, it would have been great to have that premiere in Philadelphia. And maybe in the future, other playwrights and actors will get their shows in Philly, and it will become as big as the Vineyard Theater and has such a long career. So, yes, I am very grateful for that experience. And also our other board members. You mentioned we have a board member in Paris, and I generally denounce social media, but I met her a long time ago on social media. She saw what we were putting up and out, and she said, oh, this resonates with what I do. And that's Dr. Monique Wells, who is an American black woman who has been living in Paris for nearly 30 years. And we're so happy to have her. And so she, as the other board members, keep us informed and engaged, not only about their area of expertise, whether that's acting or film, but also painting and art and sculpture. And Black people in Paris is huge. There's this notion from Harlem to Paris where there's a Harlem Renaissance, and some of those people went on to Paris. Mm-hmm. So it's an organic relationship for us, and I think Philadelphia is all in that mix. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The person who was the architect of the Harlem Renaissance is from Philadelphia, and many people forget that. It was a Black man who said, "Oh, this is an idea. I have this idea of bringing playwrights and actors and singers together," and that was Alain Leroy Locke. Some people know him from the school that's named after him here in Philadelphia, but he was the architect of the Harlem Renaissance. And it was his idea to bring all of these performers and poets and songwriters and playwrights together. And that's what we at the Brothers Network do. We try to bring this notion of the artistic community together, but also amplifying the possibility of possibilities of what it is to be Black and an actor and an artist and a thinker, and move that forward in our entire community. And also for the larger community, white people, to see that we are not the sort of representations that they have had of drug dealers exclusively or people in prison or incarcerated. Yeah. The Brothers Network has a internal sort of mantra. We just don't produce shows that have to do with prison, because that's already being done. Mm-hmm, we don't do shows that have to do with incarceration or mass incarceration or this marginalization of single parents. That's already been done. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to do that.
We talked about the whole space of intellectual theater. That I can tell you, I love Medea. But I think that there is a group and a segment of our community that wants to be able to say, I want to come to a production that's going to make me think, it will empower me, inspire me, and the like. And that segment of the community that wants to come and see that. We talked about that.
We did. And personally, I'm not a big fan of Medea. I think that has ruined what Black theater is for many people. And they think that now every show they go to is a stage play.
I think that there's a segment of the population that's what they get. I think what the Brothers Network is doing, I think what I'd like to be bringing to the stage addresses that balance. Because look, I'm not mad if that's what you like. And there's a segment of people that want to go to college and do that. There's a segment of people that want to go to the military after high school. I get the diversity, but I think what was missing for me was to be able to say, but what is my alternative if it's not Medea?
So what happens is that people come to a play like what you have, and then they expect that it's going to be this buffoonery of what Medea is, and then they walk away disappointed. And if the Medea...
They haven't attended any of my shows, because you kind of know from the title and some of that what you're going to get. Yeah, but go ahead.
I'm going to check those receipts on that one. I'm going to check. Yeah. But what our experience has been is that, and other plays and playwrights, and sometimes they dummy down their work because they want to get that Medea crowd in. Yeah. There's a particular theater in town who looks across the street and sees all of these people at the Medea play. And they say, how come those people don't come to our play? And their play is written by a different playwright. It's just not the person you mentioned.
Oh, you're giving me my topics. Go ahead.
And so I want to make sure that the Coleman Domingos of the world, the James Imes of the world get their just due. Sure. And people get to see it and don't come to those plays with the expectation that it's going to be that ha-ha, bang-bang kind of comedic, predictable ridiculousness. I'm going hard.
So because let's have this conversation.
And I love intellectual discourse because that's what we're doing here, and that's what drives the point.
Well, and just to be able, because there are a litany of different people listening with different likes and tastes. Sure. Because there's a segment of theater in general, be you Black, white, or person of color, male or female, right? That are the Broadway theatrical people.
Sure. And we love them.
And we love them. And then there is some discourse where there are some folk who are writers in the community that like that, my son was, a drug dealer and he ended up finding Jesus.
Arms too short to box with God.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the marriage, and it may not even be ever a marriage of the two, because I think there are enough people in the community, and for those people who are looking for intellectual theater, those who want to present that have to do a better job in letting people know that exists.
We are working so hard to do that. And we want everyone to come to theater and see it and experience it for what it is. No matter what your previous theater experiences have been, you may learn something new. by coming to a different kind of theater, and you may be more open to something that is not Medea-esque, and you can't walk into the theater and shut your eyes in the dark and be ready for an imagination or an imagination ride and have an expectation and then say it wasn't good because you didn't like it, and that's okay, right? But you got to see it. So I encourage people to come see all shows. Yeah, and engage in a discourse, intellectual discourse within themselves.
Because there's always an opportunity to be able to learn and do something.
And I love the fact that sometimes people just want to relax and just sort of see a show that's predictable. I get it. And there are other people who don't. So I just want us to be mindful that there are really mass divisions and sort of options. I don't want to say divisions, mass options in theater.
All right. Listen, I am excited. Time goes by so quickly. You're going to be with me for my first segment. Again, thank you to former council member Derek Green for the introduction. We will be connected forever. My guest is Gregory T. Walker of the Brothers Network, based here in Philly. How can people find out more information about your organization?
Our website, which is the best way to do it, www.thebrothersnetwork.art. That's A-R-T. I'm going to say it again, www.thebrothersnetwork.art.
Listen, I am excited. October 3rd and 5th. I am producing and directing Thoughts of a Colored Band, written by Keenan Scott II. I am excited for this cast. This was not intended. I asked one, I asked two, and it morphed into what is coming to the stage.
And I just want to acknowledge that is groundbreaking to have these amazing politicians and politicos. Art imitates life, and life imitates art, and you have put something together that is groundbreaking.
Yeah. It's a work in progress, I got to tell you. The Honorable Dr. Anthony Phillips, City Council member, is in the show. A political consultant, you've heard him on this show several times. Al Spivey. The Honorable Anthony Hardy Williams.
Let's shout out Anthony. Shout out Senator Williams and his team Cortez.
And listen,
shouting out Cortez and Senator Anthony Williams and Cortez on his staff.
Yeah. Amazing. And trust me, these guys are out of their element, but they are putting in the work.
I disagree. They're doing their acting that they do every day in their lives.
You should be in the room with us at rehearsal.
I will.
Right? The Honorable Stefan Root, who is the mayor of the city of Chester, my colleague from Power 99, Mikey Dredd, my colleague from right here, WDAS, Ed Long, former council member Derek Green, Esquire, is in the show. Let me shout out Yusef Barton, a young brother who is an actor up and coming. He auditioned for me some time ago, and I think he needed to be in this space with these powerful men, so I invited him to be a part of this production. And also CEO of the NOMO Foundation, Ricky Duncan, is a part of the production as well. So shout out to them. I always get nervous. This makes me even more nervous. I think when you're not, you don't put in the work sometime, but we got a lot of work between now and October. Big shout out
to that cast and casting. This is just brilliant. I've seen lots of theater over the course of my life. I produce theater, and I have never seen this level of
just keep me nervous.
This level of a selection of a cast to tell this story
of black men and their voices.
I mean, this resonates so perfectly and aligns with the Brothers Network.
Thank you so much, Gregory Walker of the Brothers Network. We'll be back after this. We're 105.3 DAS.